Welcome to Dr. Eitner's Super Reads. One book, 2 minutes, and 3 takeaways that you can apply to your classroom, school, or district. Let's get right to it. Here's Superintendent Eitner.
Welcome back to Super Reads, and thank you for being a part of my educational journey. My name is Jay, and I'm reviewing, as always, one book with 2-minute summary and 3 takeaways for your classroom, school, or district. The book I'm looking at this week is written by an awesome dude, superintendent out in Illinois by the name of PJ Capozzi. Down to earth, realistic, calls it like it is, very, very real and practical, especially given our educational climate today. Super appreciated. That being said, he wrote a book about evaluations and how he took home every single evaluation during one break by all of his staff, and he read them. And while that sounds crazy and time consuming, what came out of it was absolutely amazing. So let's hear about it now. Dr. PJ Capozzi is a superintendent from the great state of Illinois. He is focused on leadership from a very unique perspective, in my opinion. While he rocks in all areas of leadership itself that you could see on various forms of social media, including Twitter, PJ did something that I heard of that no other leader has done. He took home summary observations of every single one of his employees and read them over his break. PJ is a father of 4, and he needs to charge over break like we all do. It led me to wonder how the man has time to function and do anything, let alone read every observation from his staff. As a superintendent and a dad of twins, I felt like a slacker after seeing this. The book itself begins with the reminder that observations impact school culture and that they should be treated more than just going through the motions. As a teacher, I recall being told when my observation was and how I prepared a dog and pony show, and I did it in a freshly pressed suit. It was nonsense. When I went to the other side of school administration and began my career as a vice principal, I then saw the same thing. Instead of going through the motions as a teacher, I found myself going through a different set of motions, having observation templates ready and a mindset of beat the clock because I had X amount of observations to do. Dr. Capozzi's book changed that for me, and I'm thankful for it. The book dives into how often the administration and the observation tool is used as a weapon instead of constructive criticism. I recall, out of my 347 observations that I have done, I recall 2 observations that were not up to par to the teachers, and when they showed up with union reps and alluded that they would file complaints if I didn't change them. I refused to back down because I saw it for what it was, an observation, and I wrote down what I observed. That's not a weapon, ladies and gents. That's exactly what the word says. It's an observation. Such instances of bullying and reverse bullying are occurring in schools each and every day, and the book itself aims to stop it. The book points out in many ways how we can improve observations on both sides, including how to replace words from fixing to supporting, and how observations could be the door for potential leadership opportunities. Offers samples, assessments on how we can take self-assessments for our schools, and how to address the needs and changes for our observation and culture, and how we could redesign our observation tools from the ground up through collaboration and meaningful components to observe, and how to make a pre- and post-conference more of a dialogue instead of just reading a checklist and giving canned answers. The book finishes with how observers can communicate for teachers, not to show them. Showing interest and taking interest are 2 very different behaviors, and this should be taken into play the next time you observe someone or you're being observed. All right, I went over on that by a good minute, so here's my 3 takeaways. Takeaway number 1. The book is loaded with quality examples for making observations meaningful. I utilize several tips and tricks to craft more effective observations instead of using some generic template. 2. The self-reflection tools of you and as an observer and how your observations are indicators is a format is clutch, along with the quiz on what you're currently practicing in your school or district. For me, the quiz alone and the self-assessment was eye-opening. 3. The book is just a great resource from start to finish and reminds us why we do observations in the first place. The experiences should be meaningful for all involved, and PJ's book points that out for all of us. All right, that includes our episode. In the show notes, I'll put PJ's information and where you could buy his book. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. Onward.